Hey guys, Trin here, and welcome back to my weekly recap and review of Only Friends Dream On. It is now time for episode 4, so you know the drill. I'm going to recap the episode, then we will talk about thoughts, feelings, predictions, also recapping any of those that I may have had from last episode. If that seems like something you might be interested in, grab a snack, sit down, it's always a long one, and let's jump right into it. So the episode starts out at Pink's. So no more of those, well, no more of for now, flashbacks, because episode 2 and 3 both started out with like a flashback from a year ago or something along those lines. Yeah, not at this one. So present day, we start at Pink's where Rome is having a DJ set, because like I did mention, he sometimes DJs at Pink's. Enter Raffi. Raffi is extremely drunk and is trying to come on to Rome. Rome's like, leave me alone, like I'm working, like you can't do this here. You can clearly see that I'm working, but Raffi doesn't care. Raffi's really drunk, oh, I thought you'd be ready for me whenever I wanted. Like, I want you now. Even tries to kiss Raffi to the point where Raffi's like, okay, no, you need to come with me. He gets someone to watch the booth for him. Raffi is still really annoyed that Rome doesn't want him, but Rome is annoyed at Raffi because Raffi did the whole tricking Rome at that party, leaking the information about Dean's secret sort of thing. So Rome's not happy about that, and Raffi is quite like, what do you mean you don't want me? Like, I want you now, like, what's going on? And yeah, Rome is just still very like, no, I am mad at you. Didn't you sleep with Jack already? You should be happy by now. But no, Raffi didn't sleep with Jack because he just goes, no, Jack's an idiot. He's back with that asshole Dean. God damn it. Rome rubs it in his face a little harder by saying, yeah, see, no matter how much you try, Jack will never want you. And that definitely picks on Raffi's nerves because he just goes, yeah, no one ever wants me. And then he proceeds to go up to a random dude and try to get with him. Said random dude has no interest whatsoever and is like, ew, gross, like, can you get off me, sort of vibes. And yeah, no, Raffi's still persistent, so Rome has to pull Raffi off, apologise on his behalf, and take Raffi away. Then we have title credits. We start out at Boston's apartment, or his loft as he calls it, and he's kind of just reminiscing. He's looking back on some of the photos he's taken. He lingers and looks for a very long time at a very specific photo of Tua, and Tua actually rings his phone and says, let me in, I am out the front. Boston lets Tua inside. Oh, make yourself a home, I'll get you a beer. But yeah, Tua doesn't want one of those. He just wants to make it quick and then he wants to leave. He wants Boston to drop out as the behind the scenes photographer for the play. And surprisingly, Boston's like, yeah, right, I'll drop out. But you gotta tell Jack himself why I'm dropping out. And why am I dropping out again? Oh, yeah, because we slept together once and you got attached. And that kind of like angers Tua because he's like, Boston, what do you want? So he comes around and is like, duh, I want to pursue you. Which angers Tua even more because then Tua goes on a rampage of like, well, I wanted you and you chose somebody else. But now you want me and you just walk in and demand it. Boston tries to blame it on the fact that back then he didn't want commitment, but now he's ready for commitment. Even going as far as noticing that Tua has a thing for Arnold and goes, if you want to get with Arnold first, that's fine. I can wait. Which just angers Tua even further because Tua and Arnold is only Tua and Arnold's business, and Boston has no business getting in that business. Jack and Dean are having a conversation. They're just sitting on a balcony and they're kind of reminiscing a little. More so, Dean. Dean is reminiscing on the good old days when they were together back then. Because I did say that at the end of episode 3 that Dean and Jack are back together. I might actually take back that statement because they're reminiscing here about like, oh, remember when we just used to rehearse for hours until the guards would kick us out? Like, can't we go back to the way that we used to be? And Dean's a bit like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, maybe we're just better as friends. But Dean doesn't want to be friends. He thinks that being lovers is better than friends. I liked it better when we were boyfriends. But then Jack's like, well, really? Because I was quite unreasonable. I got possessive and jealous of ya. We ended up fighting all the time. Are you sure? Dean is pretty incessant though, and Jack's just like, maybe I can grant you one thing, and so he unblocks Dean on social media, and then Dean's like, I'm gonna be a new Dean for you. I'm gonna be. I don't really know what he means by that, but he just keeps claiming that he's gonna be a new Dean for him, and then kisses Jack's cheek, which makes Jack go, well, that's not you being a new Dean. And Dean's like, no, 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 I'm gonna be a new Dean for you. Tua and Arnold are shopping for fabric. Tua is the costume designer for the Romeo and Romeo play. So obviously he needs to buy some costume fabric. He just needs to buy fabric. I don't know why I called it costume fabric. Fabric that he can use to make costumes, and he's chatting with Arnold. Then this girl, Irene, goes, oh, hey, Arnold, long time no see, sort of vibes. And so they chat for a hot minute and she goes away. And Tua's like, oh, is that a friend of yours or something? So Arnold gets into it and is like, yeah, so Irene and I, we were kind of close in middle school, but then she confessed that she liked me and it got really awkward. I didn't respond. And now, like, we don't really talk that much anymore, but this is why I don't date friends. He was very like, I don't date friends because it's like really awkward if we were to break up and it would like, ruin the friendship. He's very like worried like ruining the friendship. That's why friends are better just to stay as friends. Wouldn't be surprised if this saddened Tua a little bit considering the crush that he's got on Arnold. Rome took Raffi to spend the night at his place because remember that Raffi was extremely drunk. And I'm not entirely sure if Rome knows where Raffi lives or if he maybe just was like, nah, you can just stay at my place. Either way, whether he knew where Raffi lived or not, Raffi spent the night at Rome's. This is the morning after. He's waking up. His head hurts. He has a hangover and blah, blah, blah. And Rome is in his little kitchen making breakfast. Raffi's all like, how did I even end up at your house? And Rome's like, you were such a troublemaker last night. You're also ridiculously heavy. But that didn't answer Raffi's question. So Raffi again's like, how did I end up at your house? And Rome is like, I didn't want you to wake up and regret sleeping with someone who's less hot than me. Rubbing it in a little bit. So Raffi finally gets out of bed. He's kind of like semi-admiring. Not, okay, maybe admire is the wrong word, but he's like looking around at Rome's room and is like, oh, you really are passionate about music. And Rome's like, well, yeah, because I want to be a world-class DJ. Like, that's what I want. And then Raffi tries to joke and is like, why don't you hit 100k followers first? Because cocky much. And yeah, Rome just comes over, gives him some breakfast. But Raffi's feeling nice, and so he subscribes to Rome's YouTube channel. We cut to a scene at the school where everyone is gossiping about Dean because Dean was a host and things like that. Oh, I heard he gets paid like 10k just to eat and drink with people. And prompts Dean to jump up on a table and kind of yell out at everyone. Like, honestly, I love Dean for this, like standing up for himself because he's like, yeah, all right, I'm James Dean. I'm that host that you were all gossiping about. But you know what? I did this honest job because I'm not rich like the rest of you. I had to support myself just so I can attend the same university as you guys. And by the way, my rate was 15k, not 10k. Then Dean looks straight up at Raffi because somehow he just knows it was Raffi that did it and is all, and to the one that tried to step on me. Oh, sorry, this crap can't hurt me. Then we quickly cut to Raffi and Pete, and basically Pete is just like, ooh, damn, you know what? Good for him, because if it were me getting criticised like that, there's no way I could show my face at uni. So we're finally having our first read through and like workshopping for Romeo and Romeo. You can see Timmy overseeing things. You can see Tua working on costumes, Boston taking photos. Of course, there is Arnold and Dean, who are the two main actors, and then you've got Jack, the director, who is helping things along. So, Jack is telling Dean and Arnold what they need to do to try and convey the fack that they are in love. So he says, relax, get comfortable, close your eyes. I want you to picture the person that is standing in front of you is the love of your life. Now, open your eyes, look at each other, see if there is anything you like, and try to convey love to them. Then they decide to hug because I think in the moment they think that's the best thing to do. You can see Jack is smiling because it's like, oh my god, yes, this is awesome. And so Arnold and Dean are like, oh yeah, this worked. This is cool. I felt it, and Dean felt it too. And Jack's like, yeah, okay, great. Hold on to that feeling because you're going to need it throughout the entirety of this play. Boston is still trying to actively get with Tua, even though Tua has no interest. Do you want to eat after this? We can go to that same place that we met, or we can just go to my place. And Tua's like, nope, sorry, I'm busy. I gotta work on these costumes. I don't know how Boston isn't getting it through his thick skull that Tua no longer wants him, but for some reason he can't get it through his thick skull. I don't think I ever thought that Raffi being the son of a famous actress was going to be a decent part of the plot, but apparently yes it is, because he's on the phone to his mother, because apparently he's got to be at some event with his mum, and so he's like, yeah, I'm coming, I'll see you in a minute. And he tries to start his car and it won't start. Rome notices that Raffi's having car trouble and offers to give him a ride. Rome's like, no. Raffi's like, no, it's fine. I'll just call a ride. Calls his uncle and says, hey, can you give me a ride? But the uncle is unable to give a ride. And so Rome again is just like, dude, just come on, let me give you a ride. So gets into Rome's car, but Rome's like, you're sitting in the back? Why? And I don't really know what's going on with Ruffy right now, why I feel like he's being a bit jerkish, but he's like, well, whenever I get a ride, I sit in the back. I don't know what's going on here. And I don't think Rome does either, because he just goes, oh, I give you an inch and you take a mile. Still gives him that ride, though. Dean and Jack are chatting. Dean is trying to convince Jack to come with him to an audition. Because I am pretty sure that Dean's dream in life is to be an actor. Anyway, he has an audition and is really trying to convince Jack to go with him. Jack's like, you don't need me there, you'll be fine, you got this. And Dean's like, but I want you to come. I want you to come cheer me on. Come on, come. Really wants Jack to come. And Jack in the beginning, like I said, he's all no, but Dean's very oh, come on, come. Don't make me cry on my own, or whatever the case may be. So Jack does say that he'll go, but he'll go as his friend, not boyfriend. Arnold is on the phone with his mum. They're kind of just catching up, and it's where we find out that Arnold's mum actually lives in LA. So if Arnold ever wanted to visit his mum, or the mum ever wanted to visit Arnold, it'd actually be quite difficult to do so. Tua comes over and is like, oh, Arnold, you're still here. And Arnold's like, yeah, I'm still here. I just got off the phone with my mum. I was going to film a TikTok. Hey, remember what I taught you? Come be in this TikTok with me. So they're just dancing around. They're having some fun. But then you cut away to Boston, who's watching the entire thing. We find out that what Dean is auditioning for is a commercial, but hey, gotta start somewhere. A lot of celebrities started out by doing commercials, so who says that Dean can't make it by first starting out and doing commercials? And they really like him. He has to do a couple of takes before they get the take, but they do. They say that they like him. Dean goes over to Jack and is like, hey, what did you think? Did you think that was good? And Jack's like, yeah, no, I think you did pretty well. And so Dean goes away first and Jack's left alone, and he's overhearing these two side characters talk about how they think that Dean is the perfect one for this commercial, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to pick him because he doesn't have a certain amount of followers. And I think that the person who's running the whole show, I don't think that these two side characters like the ones running the show, but apparently the one running the entire show is very particular and doesn't want to pick somebody that has less than a certain amount of followers. Where Rome has taken Raffi is an interview that his mother has, and apparently Raffi needs to be in this interview as well. I think the show they're going on is like a family sort of show, which is why the mum needs Raffi for this interview. But the mum's not the biggest fan of what Raffi's wearing. Like, oh, you couldn't have worn something nicer. But then Raffi's like, well, I've come straight from university. And what you're probably hoping that I'd be wearing right now is way too dressed up just for university. Tua and Arnold are having lunch or dinner. I actually don't know what time of day this is. I think if it's after university, it's got to be dinner. But it's still light out, so maybe it's like an early-ish sort of dinner. Or perhaps they're just getting a snack after school, so it could only be maybe like 3:30 or something in the afternoon, perhaps. I don't know. Anyways, they're having Indian food, and Arnold's like, oh, I've never eaten Indian food before. And Tua's like, oh, you're missing out, man. Indian food's the best. And is like showing Arnold how to eat it and stuff like that. Then Arnold decides to ask Tua, hey, why do you like making clothes? Which, you know what, this is actually a really good question, because even I, as the audience, was like, oh, I'm kind of interested for Tua's answer. So he says that he loved watching parades at his family's amusement park. So that's like kind of dropping a bombshell. His parents own an amusement park, but let's be real, that explains why he's so rich. Proceeds to continue on, I thought the clothing was cute and I love dressing up. And then says, oh, what about you? And I thought that maybe he was asking why Arnold likes to dance, but he answers in a way that's not that. He's like, oh, I don't actually really know. I just do jobs here and there. I never really thought anything about them, but, gotta support myself somehow. I ended up starting to like these jobs, and obviously he likes jobs that's in the arts field. And yeah, this is Tua so confirming he's rich, because he's like, oh yeah, that's different from me. I just get to do whatever I like. I'm lucky that I don't have to worry about money, but Arnold has to worry about money because his mother moved to LA when she remarried. And so if Arnold wanted to stay in Thailand, he has to take on jobs to support himself. The mum sometimes sends him money, but sometimes he feels bad for taking it, like he doesn't want to burden her. So they're just still chatting and eating, but then Boston DMs Arnold, is like, hey, do you want to model for me? And Arnold texts back and says, can I think about it first? And the boss goes, I'll pay you. And that gets Arnold's attention. Anyways, he asks Tua and says, hey, so Boston's just DM'd me and said that he wants me to model for him and that he'll pay me as well. But like, if you're not okay with it, I won't do it. Like, don't, like I kind of wanted your approval first, which again, proving my theory that Arnold is very lovely. Anyways, Tua's like, oh yeah, go for it. He's not after you. What we had edited a long time ago, like, it's fine. Like, I don't care. Go, do it. Now back to Raffi and the mum. So they're on the spotlight tonight, being interviewed by the guy sitting at the desk. I think it's mainly about the mum, but then also she's very shining on her son, like he's going to be a rising star. He's got the lead in his faculty play, so support him in that and things like that. And so after the interview, they do take photos because the guy that interviewed the mum is like a really big fan of the mum. So he wants to take photos with her. Then we cut to backstage. Raffi is wiping off his makeup, chatting with Rome. Rome's like, if you didn't want to come to this, you so could have just told her. And Raffi's like, yeah, it's not that simple. Like, no, it's not that simple. But then Rome's like, and you lied to your mum as well and told her that you got the lead role in Romeo and Romeo when you didn't. And Raffi's like, no. She kind of just assumed that on her own. I don't think that Raffi really even said anything. I think he didn't want his mum to be disappointed in him for not getting the lead. So the mum just on her own I guess, just assumed that he got the lead and said it on live television, even though that's not the truth. But Raffi never lied to her because he never even said anything. And he says that, he knows that he only got a supporting role, but he doesn't want to tell his mum that he's worried his mum is not going to be proud of him. And yeah, that's the reason why he didn't want to come to this thing, even though he has to, which just makes Rome again say, well, next time, tell her you're not coming. What is she realistically going to do? Alrighty, the main friendship group, Timmy, Tua, Jack, Dean, are at Pink's, the good old Pink Pony Club. And they're having a drink, and they're cheersing, and all of that fun stuff. Timmy is, let's be real, he's probably already drunk at this point. I love Timmy though, I know he's just one of the side characters, but I love Timmy. Anyways, Timmy is going on about how, they're getting sponsors for the play, but they want to try and get more. He doesn't want his actors to go on stage naked. Anyways, he wants to just try and get more sponsors. Apparently they got 50k baht that day though. Anyways, he wants to try and get more sponsors for them. Tua's not really listening to all of this though. He's kind of just looking down at his phone. And Dean literally has to say his name 4 times. Hey, Tua, you good? Something wrong? And Tua's no, it's fine, it's fine. But then Dean's like, alright, just let me know if something is wrong. Arnold goes to Boston's loft to model for him, and apparently this requires them having a drink. I feel like everything with Boston is hey, sit down, let me get you a drink. There always has to be drinks when Boston is involved. I think that's beer, but it also kind of looks like soju for some reason. Anyways, that's not really what's important here. What is important is that Arnold is modeling for Boston, and apparently it just had to be shirtless. I mean, look, me as an audience member, clearly I am not complaining because Joss has the body of oh my god, I don't even know really the body of what. I don't know where I was going with that. Joss has an amazing body, so I, as an audience member, am clearly not complaining. But for the show, I was like, Boston, why does Arnold have to be naked? Why? Why? I mean, maybe he's feeling the same way that we're feeling. You've got abs and you should be using it to your advantage, perhaps. Dean excused himself to go to the bathroom. He is walking back out, and some random side character just slaps his ass without permission. And obviously, this angers Dean because, are you kidding me? He just got his ass slapped without permission. But the random guy goes, if I slap your ass once, how much is it going to cost, James Dean? So trying to take a stab at Dean being a host and things like that. I think there are a lot of people that just assume that being a host is like being a prostitute, but Dean has explained on multiple occasions that that is not the case. Anyways, Dean is like, oh, if you're so desperate to grab an ass, why don't you try your dad's? And this angers the random side character, oh, you bastard. And they get into a little bit of a fight. The random dude actually punches Dean in the face. I couldn't find the best screen grabs because obviously they're in the middle of a fight, so everything would be blurry. Anyways, Jack notices, he comes in, he saves the day, he punches the random dude back. His mates are trying to hold him back, the random dude's got mates that are hey, chill out, or whatever. And, Jack is also hey, what's wrong with you, or whatever. You can clearly see the Dean has been punched, he's got a bit of blood trickling from his lips. Back at Jack's place, he's got a cold compress to Dean's injured face, but Dean's complaining a bit ow, Jack, that hurts, Anyways, but he does thank Jack for helping him out because he says that, without you, I would have been outnumbered and beaten to a pulp. This scene is honestly so wholesome for them, and I love it because Jack just goes, I won't let anything happen to you. Oh my god, that's so cute. Follows it up with oh, besides those guys are assholes anyway, but I won't let anything happen to you. And you still want to just be just friends with this guy? Really? So Dean sits up and is oh, when I said I wanted to change, I promise that's legit. I want to be a new Dean for you. And then proceeds to ask Jack, do you still love me? Now, Jack's I don't want to throw that word around. And then Dean's no, but I really want to know. Do you still love me or not? Jack answers him with a kiss and then is like, is that a good enough answer for you? Like, oh my god. The kiss just says absolutely everything. Arnold is still modeling for Boston, but then that like stops. Anyways, I love Arnold in this scene because he tells Boston, like, hey, leave Tua alone. You're making him really uncomfortable. Like, please leave him alone. And Boston's like, what? Do you like him? And Arnold's not entirely sure just yet. He's like, oh, like, I'm not entirely sure. And Boston's like, well, that's not a good enough answer. If you don't like him, you need to back off. And Arnold's like, no, I feel good about him and I care about him a lot. I also think that someone like Tua is too good for someone like you. This entire scene is just proving why Boston is so slimy and I do not like him because he starts like feeling Boston up, like touching his arm and stuff, and is like, if I leave Tua alone, what do I get in return? If you've got something better to offer me, like, what? So now you're going to try and get with Arnold? Like, I'm sorry, you're out here telling Tua you're ready for commitment, but now you're acting as if you're so ready to fuck Arnold. Like, ew, Boston, what is wrong with you? Now, Tua walks in on them, and thank God he does. Arnold immediately pushes Boston off and is like, hey, I promise, nothing was going on. Like, I swear to God, nothing was going on. Now, Boston is all, Arnold's worried about you. He asked me to stay away from you. What was that again, Arnold? Tell Tua how you feel about him. Like, oh my god, Boston is just, I do not like him at all. But I'm sorry, him being like, oh, tell Tua how you feel about them. I feel like this is giving Tua a slither of hope because earlier in the episode, Arnold was basically like, if I'm friends with you, I'm never dating you. But now it's like a slither of hope of like, does Arnold like me back? And Tua's like, oh, so you guys were chatting about me. What were you chatting about? And Boston goes up to Tua and is like, yeah, you've had my attention lately. Of course I'm chatting about you. Who else would I be chatting about? And Tua's wearing a tie. Boston pulls on it, leans in, is about to kind of kiss Tua when Arnold pushes him out of the way and kisses him. Big, full on passionate kiss. Oh my god, this is the best thing ever. Slimy Boston ruins it though, because what, he thinks he's getting a threesome now? He leans in and tries to, like, kiss Tua again, but Arnold just pushes him away and once again just says, leave Tua alone, and he grabs Tua and they leave Boston's loft, and that is the end of the episode. Radio thoughts, feelings, and or predictions. I remember from last episode, I didn't have a ton of things to say, like I didn't have a ton of predictions or anything, because I feel like episode 3 is when a lot of the questions that I was having from episode 1 and 2 got answered. So we're kind of just going to go through new thoughts, feelings, and or predictions, because there are a couple of them. I'm weirdly curious if Raffi really wants to be in the spotlight or not. Like, I don't doubt that he wanted the role in this play. Like, there's a part of me that's like, Ned, like, there's a part of me that's like, of course he wants to be in the spotlight because he wants to have the main lead role in this play, and then hopefully he wants to go on and be an actor and things like that. But then there was the whole scene with his mother, and then him and Rome were chatting later, and it was the looks on his face and stuff like that, and the way that he was talking, I was like, oh, so is his mother forcing him to be an actor? Does he not actually want to be an actor or something? I don't know. I'm curious about that. Like, the Rome and Raffi dynamic this episode was actually pretty interesting, even though I think that this was a pretty heavy Tua and Arnold episode. I feel like this episode was pretty heavily Tua Arnold focused. Not that there weren't Rome Raffi moments and Jack Dean moments, because there were Rome Raffi moments and Jack Dean moments, but I feel like this heavily was a Tua and Arnold episode, which I'll get to them. We're just doing Rome and Raffi first, because it was the first thing that came to mind was like the Raffi situation. But honestly, I liked Rome in this episode. He was so sweet to Raffi, even though Raffi kind of doesn't deserve it because Raffi is being a jerk back. But Rome was like weirdly really sweet to him this episode. I love Rome. I do. I'm deciding that I love him because I know that like in like the first 2 episodes I was like, I don't know how we feel about Rome yet, but like no, we like Rome. We like Rome very, very much. I do. I do. I This episode just solidified like I love Rome. Basically, I love Rome and then I hate Boston. That was solidified. Not that Boston needed to be solidified because I even hated him in season 1, but tell me why he's like worse this season. Tell me how he's actually worse this season. How is that possible? But apparently that's possible because it's happening. Rome is worse in this not Rome, Boston is worse in this season. So Arnold and Tua, I love the revelations. Arnold and Tua, because in the beginning of the episode, Arnold's like, if I'm mates with you, I'm not gonna take it any further than being mates with you. Like, let's just stay mates. But then by the end of the episode, they're kissing. Oh my god! Like, excuse me, kissing someone that you originally vowed you would never kiss because you're mates, and what happened to staying mates? Yeah, no. Like, apparently you kiss your mates now. But I love because I think maybe it would have just been like I just want to stop Boston from kissing you. But hey, Arnold did say that it's like actually I'm possibly gaining some feelings for Tua, and I don't know how I feel about this because even he's like, I thought I wanted mates to just stay mates, but now I'm like, fuck, like it's a whole thing. And Arnold this episode, I mean, look, Arnold is great this episode because I love that he will always defend Tua when it comes to Boston. Slimy Boston, that's his nickname, Slimy Boston. He will now only ever be referred to as Slimy Boston because, ew, I do not like, okay, because last episode I just kept saying like, ew, I hate Boston for the whole time, and I'm not gonna do that here, but like, we don't like him. Anyway, Dean and Jack. Dean and Jack was so adorable this episode. Push and pull, will they, won't they? See, I thought they got back together at the end of episode 3. Apparently I was wrong, and I think it just had them stop being assholes to each other. Like they're friends now. Dean still wants to get back together, but Jack's like, why can't we just stay friends? Like we're better as friends. Like we fought all the time when we were together. I was like weirdly possessive of you and whatever else. But no, Dean still wants to get back together. But they have a kiss towards the end of the episode as well. So like they're on the path to getting back together. Let's be real. Because otherwise you wouldn't have kissed him. It possibly could have been a heat of the moment thing, like Dean was recovering from basically being groped without permission, but they're on the path to getting back together. I come on, they're on the path to getting back together. I've noticed so far with this show, one of the things they're doing differently in comparison to season 1, not everybody is kissing everybody. In season 1, people were kissing people even outside of their pairs. So yeah, it was a First Cow show, a Neo Mark show, and a Force book show. But like Force kissed first, and Mark kissed first as well. And then we had Cow kissing Book, and you know what I mean? But I've noticed in season 2, they're not doing that. We had an almost in this episode because Boston tried to kiss Tua. But I've noticed that people are only kissing people in their pairs. So Tua has only kissed Arnold. Dean has only kissed Jack. Rome has only kissed Raffi. So yeah, it's still only friends and it's messy, but it's not everybody's kissing everybody. A tiny part of me maybe wishes that they were doing that, only because it adds to the messiness and the plot. But maybe it's a way that they really wanted to make season 2 stand out on its own. Like it's still going to be only friends, but we're not going to have everyone kiss everyone. I don't know. Part of me is like, I get it. There's another part of me that's like, oh, I kind of just wish that you were all kissing everyone like season 1 because that was diabolical and I loved that. Surprisingly, no one had a cigarette in this episode, which that is worth mentioning. There have been so many like, I'm just going to have a quick smokes in the first 3 episodes alone, but no one smoked in this episode. So I kind of just thought that that was worth mentioning. Oh, Raffi when drunk though. Oh my god, basically trying to grope that guy. Like, dude. Yeah, Raffi is. You want to talk diabolical when drunk? May I present to you Raffi? Because, whoa, what was that? Like, thankfully, Rome came in to save the day so that Raffi didn't go home and was rapist. Not that I think that he would have done that to the random dude, but like, it was looking a little like Rome was like, oh shit, I need to stop this before it escalates any further. And just, again, see, I like Rome. This is why I like Rome. Rome and Arnold, you know what? They're definitely the MVPs of this episode for me. Rome and Arnold, they're my favorites this episode. That's right, because I did say that I was going to be like, oh, who's like my favorite per episode? And I think, because I think episode 3 I gave to both Dean and Tua, but this episode I'm giving to Rome and Arnold because I love them and their heroic behavior and like saving their man. Like, it was so cute. It was so cute. Do I have any questions? Obviously, I've got questions about like Raffi and stuff. I am curious though. So, Tua and Boston, are they exes because they actually dated or just because they had a one night stand? I think they only had a one night stand because Boston wasn't ready for commitment and then, you know, the whole nail and bail. Tua obviously got attached for a hot minute. But like, because that's the thing, because Tua and Boston are exes, and I'm like, are they truly like exes though, or is it just like a guy that Tua fucked one time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and can you call someone that you only slept with once an ex? Like, really? I don't know. I mean, I'm just going with it. Okay, your ex is your exes. Okay, whatever. I'm just going with it. But there is like a little part of me that's like, but did you even date? I don't think that you even dated. So, I don't know. But then also, what is a word for someone that, like, you didn't date, but you have slept together once or twice? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the word for that? So maybe they just thought there isn't a word for that. We're just going to use the word X. And also, X isn't the wrong term either. I just think maybe that there could be a better term. You know, a term should exist. We should come up with a word for like someone that you were with, but you weren't necessarily like dating, like it didn't last for very long, but you were still with them. There should be a word for that. So someone should make up a word for that. Another thing I'm noticing that is different from season 1 is that they're all in what I would like to call situationships to a degree. Because in season 1, you had like the forced book couple were like an actual legitimate couple, and it was really only Neo and Mark who were in the situationship. Some okay, First Cow. They were like dating, they were also situationship. I thought they were dating, but like maybe they could have also been situationship considering that Cow was in love with Book. Anyway, I've been noticing in season 2, it's all just a different type of situationship. So you've got Rome and Raffi that are kind of like sleeping together. Raffi is, for some reason, still not Rome's biggest fan outside of the bedroom. But Rome's got a crush on Raffi and wants them to be together and stuff. And then you got Arnold and Tua. Tua has a crush on Arnold. Arnold is unsure if he feels the same. He's kind of starting to maybe feel the same. They've kissed a couple of times. Arnold doesn't know how to feel about that. But then there's like Boston trying to get in between them because Boston wants to get back with Tua. Then you got Jack and Dean that are exes. So they're just situationship there. They're like mates again. And they've kissed and they've had sex since breaking up. So there's a situationship if I ever heard about one. I don't know. My only real question is I was like, oh, does Raffi even actually want to be an actor or not? And I guess we'll find that out at some point. I am curious more so just, again, how the relationship's going to plan out, how the play is going to plan out. I'm interested. We had our first read through. More of a workshop of like Dean and Arnold. Like, I need to make sure that you two look like you are genuinely in love for this shit. And then they do rehearse, but then the scene cuts off. You don't really see a rehearsal of scene 1 on camera. It like, cuts off to something else. You know what? You want to know what character I don't know what I feel about and don't know what intentions are, but it's also going to be very difficult to find that out because he's not on screen for that long. Pete, Raffi's friend. Like, oh my goodness, Pete doesn't have a ton of screen time, but he's not giving green flag. He's not. I don't know what he's giving. Maybe like yellow flag for now. I don't think the Pete's a red flag, but why is it not giving green? Like, why is it giving Rome's a better friend to Raffi than Pete is? Like, tell me why. Tell someone answer that question for me. Why does Pete give like, yeah, Raffi and Pete are friends, but like, I don't know. Like, Pete's giving, he's not a good friend. And I think I'll need to watch more of him to find this out. But I don't think I really like Pete that much. But it's too early to tell. And I know that we're already in episode 4, so maybe it's not too early. But it's too early because Pete's one of the side characters. And so you don't really see him on screen that much. Side character I love though is Timmy. I adore Timmy. Timmy's just so adorable and fun, and I love Timmy. I do. He's so cute. Well, that is it for this episode. I feel like my thoughts, feelings, and predictions were quite random this time around. I don't know. I didn't really have anything major to say. I don't know. Anyways, that is it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts about episode 4. And yep, I cannot wait to see you all next time. I'm going to be doing episode 5. Obviously, I'm doing this for every episode. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. I want to do this for every single episode. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you love a good BL just as much as I do. And yep, I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.